Welcome to the Innovation Conversation, a podcast about innovators, both in business and real life. Hosted by myself, Ricardo Pascual, and Harry McDonough. Today's episode is sponsored by Hyperskill. Hyperskill is a learning and training platform that enables people from all over the world to learn new tech skills. If you're looking to learn new tech skills, this is a platform to choose. You can find out more about them on hyperskill.org. Our podcast is also sponsored by Socialtown Marketing, our go-to social media agency. From Vienna, delivering great services to clients all over the world. Make sure you check them out at socialtownmarketing.com. Today we are joined by Rotim and Elisabeth Linz, founders of Socialtown Marketing and actually one of our sponsors. We're talking about their story and also their latest project, The Diary, one of the most, if not the most complete notebooks in the market. So welcome to another episode of the Innovation Conversation. Today we're joined by Mia and Lily, founders of Socialtown Marketing in Austria, Vienna, Austria. Beautiful town. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure. Could you tell our audience, please, Lily and Mia, a little bit about Socialtown Marketing? What do you ladies do? Tell our audience about it. They want to know everything about it.
You want to start?
Sure. So Socialtown Marketing is a social media agency founded in 2021 by Lily and I. We specialize in content creation, influencer marketing, paid ads, and social media management. Mm-hmm. And right now we're already a team of, I think, totally 6 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then how did you get started? Could you mind elaborating on your journey, where you kind of started, how you came together?
Actually, we met for a mutual friend, and it was a brunch, I think.
Yeah,
I remember it was a brunch, and I heard a lot about Mia, so did she about Mia, I assume. And we got to talk, and then we were still both I was in university doing my master's, Mia was already working, and because she already finished her master's, and she asked me what I want to do after I finished studying, and I said, listen, I really want to do something by myself. I don't know, I've tried being in other PR agencies and everything like that, but I really, really want to do something myself and try it at least once. Even if I try and it doesn't work, I've done it. And I want to do something creative. I'm not a person that can do something all over again, so every day needs to be a little bit different, and I love to see things evolve. And Mia was like, I have the exact same feeling. I also want to do something creative. I want to see things evolve. I also want to do my own thing. And she asked me what I was doing, because I studied luxury brand management, but on the side of that, I didn't just want to study, so I started helping out companies in social media management, and I did a couple of accounts, let's put it that way. And then I asked Mia, what are you doing? And she said she was doing influencer marketing for a really known brand. And she was like, why don't we do this together? Better 2 than 1, right? So we continued talking for a little bit, then had some other small talk, and then we parted our ways. And a week later, I don't even know where she got my number from. Mia calls me, and mind you, this is where COVID started, and we had lockdown, not lockdown, and it was at the time where we didn't have a lockdown. She calls me and she goes, are we doing this or not? And I was just like, wait, what? We just talked about it. And she's like, well, now is the time, we should do it. And then another week passes and we find ourselves at the lawyer, and we signed a contract for doing a company. Yeah.
Well, that actually puts me to a completely different question, but you actually need a lawyer to start a company in Austria?
You do in Austria.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because over here in the UK, all you need is really to go online. There's tons of websites to do it, but you can also do it on Companies House.
Really?
It costs £14 to open a company or something like that.
£14? That's insane.
£14.
Austria, it's a couple of €1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so there's actually leads me to another question, which is, how do you find the market? Obviously, you cannot compare with UK, but do you find the Austrian market hard to get into, as in starting a business there? Or is it actually quite accessible to people, to entrepreneurs to actually, I want to start a company in Austria, I can just go in, get started, and it's very straightforward. So how are you finding it?
I think it's a tough one because Austria is not very easy, I would say, in general, because also tax systems are very complicated. Like, it's one of the most complicated in the world, and you first have to understand all of this. And I keep on repeating to Mia, if I would have known what's to come, I would probably be too scared to do it. Because nobody tells you how to run a business. Nobody tells you how to get started. It was all kind of like trial and error. Luckily, everything went well. But I would say for us in the industry that we're in, social media was something. Austria is a little bit slow, so everything here happens a couple of years later, I would say. And social media was something nobody really has touched yet. So we had the PR agencies and the marketing agencies that were just like, we're just going to do it on the side. But quite honestly, it's so time consuming that it doesn't really work out. So we wanted to do solely social media.
And there was not really a lot of people that did that, to be honest. Like right now, maybe people are starting to like do it, but back then, no.
Yeah. However, with that being said, I think that also what we started doesn't need a lot of capital, if that makes sense. You need a computer and a phone, and you don't need a lot of starting capital. So that was definitely easier for us.
Yeah, and then like I think in terms of like getting clients and so on, getting into the sphere, I think it really depends. Like I think it's always good if you know people, and it's always good if you communicate it well. Like both of us came from this like marketing background, so we obviously communicated this to the companies that we were working at that time, and we were lucky that they then said, okay, we're gonna do it through your social media agency and continue working with you. So this is how the first clients kind of happened. So this was our luck, but I do think it's hard genuinely like to find people and so on. Like this is, I think like in the UK, probably you need to have like a bit of a social network to kind of like, find your first clients.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's always the hardest thing, which is speaking the lingo and actually getting people to trust you based on what you're saying, and B, also having the right network. And there's two ways of going about getting the right network. Either you are already in the industry and you have those contacts naturally, or if you're just getting started, it's literally go out and meet people and ask for advice and ask for, try and do connection requests. Because that's what I do for a living. It's literally go out and send connection requests to people on LinkedIn. And, it's just about, trying to build that connection and see how it goes. So, yeah, I completely get that.
Yeah. I also do think we were, I don't want to say lucky the pandemic happened in that regards, but when we left our companies, initially, they were all like, we told them you could come and work with us, and they were like, oh my God, we're not working with an agency. Everything is in-house. We need people coming to an office from 9 to 5. I think the pandemic shifted these things a little bit in terms of like people understood that certain jobs don't need you on site every day, but they can be done from anywhere. So that definitely helped us.
Yeah.
So what was the conversation like with your old companies? So you took the leap, setting up your own company, spending all that money, really going into it. And you mentioned you had a conversation with, I'm guessing, your bosses or colleagues at the time saying, hey, come and work for us. Is there any advice you can give to anybody listening to say, hey, how can you actually do it? Or is it completely different to the UK economy where I'm guessing if I went to my boss and said, hey, can I have you as a client? They're pretty much going to say quite rude words to me.
Oh, I think it's a very fine line. Yeah. Mia and I are generally very cautious about this, and we approached it rather slow, I would say. We didn't force anything onto them. We told them we were leaving, but we told them we're not gone.
I think that the key element here was that we were both in a position in the job that we were doing that was crucial, and nobody knew how to do it except of us back then. It would be like a whole process of, getting a new person. So we were, let's say, a valuable asset at that time. And I think if you say something in a very kind and human way, like every human has like their own wishes and dreams. And I remember
communication.
Exactly. Like I remember having this talk, and I was like, listen, like, I'm doing that. I'm gonna still stay, but let's see how it goes. And then the time came, and I was like, I'm gonna leave because it's time. I need to focus on that. And there were like sad, but they understood it. And they were even so kind. I remember like I was talking to the CEO of the company, and they were super, super kind and saying like, if I ever need anything, I should approach it, because it is a tough way, you know, like if you have your own business, it's not, easy. And it was a really nice conversation. And it took them 3 months, but eventually they did the phone call and they came back to us, and then we worked with them basically. Yeah. So
I think that's an incredible story, because as mentioned over here, and probably Ricardo's can probably back that up, it's literally very hard to do something like that. Go to your boss and say, hey, let's do this. But I guess it all comes down to having a very supportive environment and a working culture in the first place. It seemed quite crucial to that as well.
I think the UK is way more competitive.
Yeah.
That's definitely the case.
Yeah, I mean, depends on each company, but I think it would always be a very hard conversation to have with someone saying, hey, we're going to start our own thing. Would you be interested in doing business? It's hard. It's very hard. But I think it comes down to also the social structure the country has, and the idea that people have. At least in the UK, there's very much a class system, even though people like to think there isn't. And when you're doing business and when you're talking to people are always trying to put you in a specific class, and your aspirations are limited to your class. And it's funny because when you hear people talking, they say, oh, I come from a working class background. Well, so what? It doesn't matter. Or I come from a middle class, or I come from an upper class. It's one of those things that people have on the back of their mind, and does create some type of barrier, especially when you want to do something different. So it's one of those limitations we put it upon ourselves, but actually they don't really exist. But yeah,
true.
Which kind of leads me to my next question. I really want to ask this because you are actually our first female guest on the podcast. So there's thank you very much for that. Me and Harry were talking about business, and our perspective comes from being two guys in business and doing different elements. But how are you finding it as women, having your own company? Because, strong business woman is something that it's not very rare, but it's still not as many as the case you have for men. So how are you finding that?
I think it's very hard to find a balance between the masculine and like feminine energy. Does it make sense? Because on one side you are having your own business, you're being a boss, so you need to like kind of have this masculine energy. But at the same time, like, also in your private life, you still need to be feminine kind of and have this energy, or at times need to kind of know where to put which, into place. And that's hard because sometimes you lose yourself, like in the sense of like you're working too much and then you're like too much into that and you lose the other like part of yourself. Does it make sense? Yeah.
So I think also it comes with advantages and disadvantages. Like obviously when you're a woman you can be very charming and so sometimes when we come, the both of us, people are a little bit starstruck. Like it sounds really weird, but they don't expect two young females when they look into a company first. But after, when you really prove them on what you can do, they are really appreciative. Doesn't really matter the gender. I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to personality of the relative people. And that's something we're really careful about right now, whom we're working with and whom we're not working with, because we do want a mutual respect with our clients. And if that's not there, like doesn't matter female, male, we're just not doing it, because it's such an energy taker and it kind of drags you from evolving. So could
you give us an example of masculine energy or conversations? Because that's something quite new, because I know it's kind of a dog eat dog world on that side, but it'd be quite interesting, maybe an example of that, because it's the first time I've really heard it from myself.
Masculine energy, I mean, it's not that like I wouldn't take the word as it is. I would more like
maybe to put it in rational and emotional. Let's put it that way. We are very, and I catch myself sometimes being very emotional work-wise, and that's not good. So men are very rational in their thinking, and I think it's easier for you guys to completely separate the rational part and the emotional part. And for us, I think sometimes it diffuses and we take it into our personal life, and that's I think
Yeah, and then additionally to that, like you have this kind of like a bit of a cold energy, right? Because it's rational. So it needs to be cold. You need to be like, it's about like not emotions. So this is sometimes when, things can get like mixed up because you have this for example, you go into like a meeting and it's successful, right? And you were like super cold, rational. You get home and then you think like, oh yeah, I did that really good. Because, everyone would think that. But if a man comes home and he's like that, it's fine because he's like a man and like, he has this energy always, right?
It's interesting you saying this because so one of the leading causes of that in men is actually suicide. So the first one up to a certain age is driving like a complete maniac, and then you die. And then between, I don't know, when you're 25 till you're 50, it's actually suicide. And I think it's mostly because of that, because men are taught from a young age to put on a facade. Boys don't cry, girls cry, boys don't cry, and that's still the case. And then as problems and the stress piles up, you get to that stage like, actually, what I'm going to do? I'm just going to commit suicide, which is a horrible thing, by the way. But that's it, because we don't manage our emotions so well. So maybe having that type of female energy in business, it's actually good.
I think we're way more thoughtful in what we do. I mean, I can see it in the daily life. If I compare myself to my brother, he does some things I would never do. Like he jumps off a 20-meter thing and I'm like, oh my goodness, like what if something is down there? He doesn't even think about that. So you guys are just like a little less thoughtful. We have more of I think we think ahead a little bit more than you guys. You live more in what's to come. And also something I do think we put boundaries on what's okay and what's not. And I don't know if you guys do that so much.
I guess it depends on the occasion. But okay, so let me ask you this. For our female listeners, what advice would you give them? Because you're both quite successful in what you're doing. So what advice do you give someone, who's just listening in, starting their own business, and say, actually, take that energy and go and do something? I mean, what would that be?
I would say never let anyone put you down. Stand your ground. You know what you're worth and you know what you're capable of. And
just do it.
Just do it. Push through.
Nike said it first, we're saying it second, but just do it. Yeah. Because like if you don't try,
you'll never know.
You'll never know. And also, what's going to happen? What's the worst thing? We're going to like you will try. It doesn't succeed. You're just going to stop and you're going to find another job.
Yeah, true.
That's it. You can not lose anything.
It's a good,
Sorry. I wanted to say except of an amazing experience. So that's the only thing you're going to lose.
Yeah, it's very true, isn't it? Because sometimes we feel the world is gonna collapse because someone said no, or someone said a bad thing. But actually, when you open up, there's so many different things out there that if someone doesn't recognize you,
I have a tendency to do that. Mia's always like, Lily, don't do this, because like I get it then, because obviously if you've had your own company, you learn so much more than you do when you're just employed somewhere, because you have to do it from A to Z. When you're employed, you just see a part of what's happening. So I think like even like Mia said, what's the worst thing that can happen? You take another job. I think people really appreciate you like had your own thing and you know what's behind everything.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. I think people need to work. Sorry, I have a mosquito flying here. It's like I'm somewhere tropical. No, but I think people, when they're not appreciated in the work they're doing, they will move somewhere else, right? And they'll move somewhere else where they can flourish and grow. And that's ultimately always the thing. A lot of people are scared to move, but actually moving is not bad. And change is a constant in life. I think that's probably the only constant. I mean, me and Harry, the way we're doing our podcast, the first one was, I'm not going to say a disaster, but everything was wrong, literally went wrong. And even a couple of weeks ago, we did like this silly mistake where we didn't actually record one of our guests. We literally forgot to press the button saying record for the audio only. But it's about having that space to grow, right? So that makes sense.
Exactly. Like things like this can always happen. And if I think about how we did things 1.5 years ago, it kind of gives me goosebumps. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, like, I mean,
what happened there? But we learn from it. Like you can we evolve constantly, like every day.
like either how we film things or how we do paid ads or how we approach influencer marketing. So every day is something, especially in this field, there's something new.
But I think it's important you're open for it. Like, if you don't change, you're not evolving, and you just need to be open for it.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Constant movement.
Okay. Let's get our work on it.
But with these constant moves and changes, how do you find working and collaborating with each other on a daily basis? Because having this conversation, you seem more than just founders. You seem as friends, quite close friends, and it's kind of brought you together as well. How's managing the business on a daily basis? Has it put strain? Has it made you closer? Has it made you more appreciative of each other?
Well, it's funny because I'm actually very happy I didn't know Mia as a friend before we founded our business. So our friendship grew with what we're doing. So we only know each other from that side, if that makes sense. Like, obviously this became a friendship and everything, but also our personalities are a little bit like yin and yang. Like, I'm always a little scared, and I'm always like, ooh, what to do now, and like what to do then. And Mia is the one that calms me down, and then sometimes I have to push her up because she's too calm for me, but we find our middle ways.
Yeah, I think obviously we got to know each other really, really well. And I have to say I'm super lucky to work with Lily because, it's the truth. Because honestly, like we have the same ethics when it comes to work, which we were lucky to have because I didn't know her that well before. So this was a complete coincidence that it turned out the way it turned out. But we are like super, like our heart and soul is in this company, in the projects that we do, in the girls that are working for us. All of these things are really we put so much energy into it, and she's someone that puts 200%. I put 200%. So that's the most important thing, because if one person is not so sure about it and the other is struggling and so on, that gets tricky then. And we have the same goals and same views on things, and that's again important. And obviously we all both know when to do compromises, and that also works really well. I
think that's always a good thing, because it's hard to start a business, but it's even harder to start a business with friends, right? Because you don't want to lose the friendship, and then you end up compromising on business decisions that you probably shouldn't have had.
Yeah, this is why I said I'm happy I didn't know Mia before as a friend, because we tried even and working with people that we knew as friends before, and it just didn't work out, because you don't want to be rude to them, not even rude, but you don't want to tell them certain things, that you don't like something. You have a little bit of a distance, and it doesn't work. There's no flow in it. So we know each other from
work. Yes. So that's, I think, a really big benefit, and that's the best way it could have happened, to be honest.
That's a good point. So I'm curious now, can you tell us your worst day in business? What was that day you just said, oh my God, I'm going to go and I don't know, go somewhere else with this, because I'm done.
We have that sometimes weekly. No, there are tougher times and there are easier times, and it's everything is in balance. And there are times when things bad business things hit us one after the other, and we're oh my god, this again, and then this happened, and we don't know anymore. And then we're okay, kind of you lose courage. But I think once you are in the position of owning your business and really you have your heart and soul in it, then you don't really need motivation, because I believe if we would need motivation, we shouldn't even start with these things. Because if you're someone that is an entrepreneur or a business owner, in order for this to work, you need to live it and breathe it. There is no that's as simple as that.
So how do you manage the highs and the lows? I think that's important for us to know. What tips and tricks?
I think we've touched on it already. Life is about changes, and so is highs and lows. There will always be highs, there will always be lows, and you just have to deal with it, and you learn from the lows. And you take it as a lesson and just keep going. I think it's so important that sometimes even these lows happen, so you're reminded of how good the highs are, if that makes sense, because sometimes people tend to, if there's too much of a high, let's say, they tend to be ungrateful. So I think it's very important that you sometimes have the lows as well.
Yeah.
And building on the highs, I know you've shown briefly earlier something about the diary. I'm quite interested to see what that's about. So Ricardo has one. There was a big book there that was shown. Do you mind elaborating a bit more on what that is?
I can show you. Now it's packed, but it's really nice. It is basically, we've all been kind of like our team, is into kind of manifestation, journaling, but also, planning, because our schedule, and that's also about a bit about the highs and lows, is packed usually. So, sometimes like we don't really have time to do anything else except of computer work or filming, and then, in the evening you're ready to go for dinner or whatever. But like so we wanted like a planner, but at the same time we wanted something where we can write down like our goals, and at the same time we wanted a diary and everything in one. And
Mia kept running around the city and she was like, Lily, I can't find this thing that like has it all. I don't want to run around with 3 different books, like this is so heavy. So we just made one.
We just made one basically. So it's something, I don't know if guys are into manifesting. I believe more and more people are doing that. And it is, you have basically a guide. It's 3 months. So you have 3 months in this book. It's undated, so it's
you can start whenever.
Anytime. Basically, it's first, you have 7 days where you reflect each day in the morning and the evening, which helps you really understand what is important in your life. Because usually we're so distracted by our day-to-day life that we don't know what makes us happy. And one simple day, like you see your parents, for example, after a long day, makes you happy. Like this is the highlight that happened on this day. And you realize like how many small things are actually so crucial in your life once you do day after day. And then like after 7 days, there's a weekly review with questions. So you have, it looks like that. I don't know if you can read it, but these are the day questions that 3 you do in the morning, 2 in the evening. Then you have a planner.
Yeah. Also includes cardio and like workouts, because it's always important to have a balance. We tend to forget that because like as business owners we could work 24/7, I guess, and it's really important to take time for yourself, and this is just a little reminder as well. So in there you have to add.
So you have like this you probably saw in other books as well, but it's basically like here you review your day. So this is really about emotions. Here you have like your planner, activity, and then you have a diary. Like for people that like keep diaries, you have 2 pages where you can write down what happened on this day. This basically repeats 7 days, and then after 7 days you have a weekly review where you can really like see how you felt this week. Was it a bad, a good, or whatever week?
So it's a notebook and a therapist all in one.
Exactly. And then you also have the manifestation part where it's the 3-6-9 method, but everything is explained in the diary, and then a monthly review, and 3 months is in there,
because you can look back at what you're thinking, what your emotions were, if you were exercising, not exercising, if you're drinking water. I know there's a tab there for drinking water, and then just kind of actually there's that saying, what gets measured gets changed, or something like that. Or we need to measure things. The idea is we need to measure things in order to change. And then by having that written down, it makes it so much easier, doesn't it? I think in this
digital world, everything is a little overwhelming. Like we're constantly, even if you don't work in social media, we're constantly put out to like a gazillion informational bits, and it's so important to just take a step back and like zoom out.
I tried it myself, and for a week now, and like I saw really like I said, the thing with the family, for example, you see what things are like, what is important in your life and where you want what you want. Because like Lily said, we get lost in a day-to-day life, especially like when you work or when you have your own business or projects. You guys also have for sure like so many projects on the side. You just are running.
What's that?
Yeah, but like you're just kind of like, running, and that makes you stop for like 5 minutes.
And
or
you
10
don't have
minutes.
to question, oh my God, where do I even start? Because this gets you.
Yeah.
It's a great idea because, especially if you talk to many entrepreneurs and founders, a lot of them are solopreneurs where they do it by themselves. And what you often find is they often overthink. They have voices in their head. They suffer. I know it sounds so bad, but you do have the voices in your head, but it's also
It sounds familiar. It doesn't sound bad.
It's a form of depression in quite a big stance of it. And with depression, they often find that journaling is one of the best ways to combat it because you can take these thoughts in your head and actually write them down to help you come to reasoning, see stuff that's clearly. Because a lot of people, especially when you do your own business, you don't often take it day by day. A lot of individuals take it week by week, month by month, year by year. They get so overwhelmed that they end up getting so depressed and angry that they just give up. One little thing just ticks them off the table. But I think it's a great idea because you break it down and you help people start off with the simplest. It's hard because I need to do it as well. I've been told I need to journal. I'm not because I'm depressed, but it helps you do it.
No, you know what it also is? You kind of like, we all have goals, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you guys are like, okay, this year I'm going to work out more, or this year, whatever. And you just say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start.
You just call us fat. I think that's pretty much. We need to work out more, Harry. There you know. Now we know.
No, no, but I meant like, you always say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start with that, or tomorrow I'm going to eat clean or whatever. And this is also like, this incorporates like at the beginning, like you have these 2 pages where you can write down your goals in 4 segments, which is basically mind, body, career, and lifestyle. So what you want, you can write it down here. That's in the beginning of the book. And then also a vision board. So, it's kind of like, okay, what do you want to achieve? And then you're tracking yourself. Because if you write down in the first day, okay, I want to like go for a run. Like this is something that this day, like this would make my day amazing. And then in the evening, you're like, what could have been, amazing for this day? You would write, I should have gone for this run, right? Like, because you probably didn't go. So you can see, I want to do it, but at the end of the day, I didn't do it. So how can I change it? And since I did that, like I can see where my problem is and how I can, improve achieving my goals, basically.
And I think we put out the dates as well. Another reason we put out the dates is because a lot of people then, like, if they feel pressured, it's overwhelming again. So you can just start and stop whenever. And when you know you have to take time for yourself. So there's no pressure on this. That was really important for us.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how you created actually another thing from the needs you have as business owners. So we know this is not coming from someone who's actually never done it before. This is literally coming from someone who's doing it and found actually this is what I need to get by. And that's actually brilliant, isn't it? It's like, I don't know, like a runner designing running shoes, or someone who likes shoes designing running shoes. It's going to be completely different.
Yeah,
right?
It's true, because we were searching for like something like that, and there are manifestation journals and stuff. They exist, and there are diaries. They exist, and there are planners. But all-in-one does not exist. Like, at least I didn't find it. I don't know. Maybe let me know. I don't know. But like,
it's funny. Look, I actually have something here that I bought. We're not that big. I can say it's called the bullet journal, and I was thinking it was something like what you girls have just described. I'll show you how it looks like. And there's a very complicated system. This is what it looks like. Completely blank. That's it. So I ended up buying an overpriced journal that has a system. Oh, by the way, I need to go online to download the system because otherwise it's not here. I'm like, why? Whereas with you, we actually put on the system on a piece of paper and you can write down. So, yeah, makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
So I already had to create it even before you created it. So.
No, I really think everyone that's like going to university, maybe, like, or having a lot of things, or just wants to, take the time in the day to write down things. It's a great thing, and it's I think everyone has 10 minutes in the day.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Very true. And we should actually take 10 minutes, because otherwise we spend our lives glued to a screen, right? We wake up, we look at the news on Instagram or TikTok. Well, but it's your business as well, so it gets even more complicated. And then we just spend all day glued to a screen, and then how do we relax? Oh yeah, let's relax watching something on Netflix, and it's too much. We need to think. We need to have, not consume. Don't need to consume. We need
Not
to create.
just consume, exactly. To put out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important. I think that's the thing most people don't realize, is that the people that we see on TikTok and Instagram and we are fascinated about, they actually don't consume that much. They mostly create. So
they create.
They create, but that's the thing. We think, oh, they must be spending their time the same way we do on Instagram all the time. No, they don't. They just create stuff and film. That's it, right? That's
So also movies. I mean, these are actors that we're working. We're just watching them work. Actually, if you put it this way. But
I don't think a lot of actors actually end up watching a lot of movies. They mostly just do the movies because they don't have time to do it. They're too busy, filming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I would have more time for because like you said, at the end of the day, we all watch Netflix and we just want to relax or whatever. But actually we should probably hit the gym or go for a walk or, something else. Yeah.
Just seems like
a bit podcast. More. Yes.
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast. Yeah. So I guess, we've asked all our questions. If people want to find you, how can they do so? So if they want to reach out and, either give you business because they really like what you're doing, or actually buy the diary, how can they do that?
So all of our information is obviously on our website. So www.socialtownmarketing.com. You can find the diary there. You can buy the diary there. You can find our services there. You can also find our contact information there, and you can find a display of what we do. We always have little snippets and our show reel of what we've done so far. Then obviously we're a social media agency. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, we're on there as well. LinkedIn, of course, B2B is very important.
And another thing, sorry to interrupt you, another thing is just because we're based in Vienna doesn't mean we don't operate worldwide. We do. Just so you know.
We actually have a lot of clients that are not from Vienna.
Or Austria,
Yeah, because that's actually quite impressive. I know you have one that it's a massive, not an airline, but it's a private company that rents planes or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're yeah.
They're very cool.
And
so if you also need to go somewhere, let us know. We can organize it too with them for our clients.
It's not a bad idea. Private jet somewhere, with this weather, I don't think I would mind. But I'll be good.
And then obviously you can write us an email, contact@socialtownmarketing.com.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Lily and Mia, for being our guests.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's been a pleasure.